Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. I am here with a very special video, and yes, I'm just saying that because it's not true, it's not special. It's just what you guys requested, so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about being passive aggressive and how you can not be that anymore. I know with the climate of everything going on, that may be a little bit hard, so I'm here to give you some leeway, not here to judge, just to help. You're allowed to take this advice when you're ready and not on my terms, because it's your life, boo. And in the words of Auntie Tab, that's your business, okay? So, here's the thing about being passive aggressive. It is just like revenge because it really hurts you in the end. Especially when that is directed towards somebody that you care about, somebody that you want in your life, family members, spouse, friends, anything like that. You end up hurting yourself. For me, this is something that, of course, I've definitely struggled in because I want to be right, especially when I've been wrong, but I want to get you back. So I don't blame anybody who struggles with this. It is literally something that everybody struggles with from time to time. So typically with being passive aggressive, I've found that it's either one of three reasons. You want something to stop, you want something to start, or you want to change something without being a direct influence. So this is something like, this is just an example, your man getting on your nerves, okay? Because you done told him 11,000 times that you don't like when he snaps your bra strap. You just don't like it. It don't feel good. It makes you angry. It gets on your nerves. But yet, here we are. So instead of telling him that for the umpteenth time, you decide to ignore his text messages for the full day. And you know, ladies, how we ignore text messages. We don't actually, don't reply all the time. Sometimes it's just like, okay, yup, uh-huh, got it, bye, okay? And I feel you. But what that can lead to is a disconnect in communication. That may, as a result, make him feel like you're not interested in the conversation. It may make him feel like you're not interested in what he has to say or what's going on with him. And he may think in his mind that's just something that he does because it's funny and he doesn't mean any harm by it, and he thinks you might be overreacting. So it creates a conflict in communication. And as we all know, communication is, in my opinion, the most important thing in a relationship. It can be the make or break. And so when you become passive aggressive, whether it's small or large or whatever, you can create a bigger rift that starts with just that. And then it becomes bigger things and bigger things and bigger things, because we all know a crack in a wall is not going to stay just a little bitty crack. It's going to expand if you don't deal with it. So a reason why you really want to nip this in the bud, other than having communication issues with the person that you're being passive aggressive with, you may begin to see yourself as the victim and take on that mentality. When you become passive aggressive, you become your own judge, jury, and executioner. And just like the United States, we all need checks and balances. Not always when people hurt us are they trying to, and sometimes the intent is important when giving someone a verdict. And you want to make sure, like I said, if this is somebody that you want to be in your life, that you don't want to give them a death sentence when their intent was not malice, was not to hurt you. For those of you who are Bible-believing Christians, to put this in practical use, David and Saul. David had all the reasons why he should attack Saul, why Saul should be his enemy, why he should just to Saul. Saul did not like David and made his life very, very, very hard. What he could have done, instead of directly attacking Saul, he could have been passive aggressive. He could have tried to sabotage him in small ways. He could have spread rumors about him or told secrets, because before they were enemies, David worked in the palace with Saul. So we can assume that David had insider information on how Saul moved, the things he liked, the things he didn't like, things he didn't want the outward public to know. So David, when they became when it turned, their relationship turned and they were no longer close or friends or whatever, David could have used that time to be passive aggressive. Instead, David chose to honor his leadership instead. Even though he did not agree, he still chose to honor him. And through that, God was able to use David in many different ways, and God honored David's honor. So a lot of the blessings that David received throughout his lifetime was as a result of him honoring the people that God put over him, even though he did not agree with their lifestyle. So how do we fix it? Well, I have about 3 different tips that will help you. Number 1, identify the feeling that you have, because here's the thing: even though feelings are inconsistent and they wane and they move, they're not something that you should make decisions off of, but it's still good to acknowledge them. A lot of times we end up harboring or holding in ill will and feelings towards other people that end up hurting ourselves because we won't admit that we are angry, that we're jealous, that we're sad, that we're hurting, all these different things. They begin to eat away at you internally. So my first tip is to just acknowledge and recognize that within yourself. A couple quick questions you can ask yourself in order to help you identify some of those initial emotions is to ask yourself, how do I feel? And why do I feel that way? Is this a result of past trauma? Is this a result of the actual action that this person took around or towards me? Or is this something that I'm still upset about from my kindergarten boyfriend who left me for my best friend when I was sick for 3 days? That happened. But is this a result of those feelings, or is this something that I actually feel? A lot of times we'll find out that how we feel initially is not actually connected to that person. It's connected to something else, and then we can move and solve those things first. But first, it starts with recognizing and identifying how you feel. Also, an important thing in recognition is also asking yourself, does the person who offended me know my why? Do they know why I'm angry? Have I told them about my kindergarten boyfriend that left me and now I have abandonment issues? If the answer is no, that might be your first step in not being passive aggressive, is to actually express that, because a lot of times, especially if the person cares about you, if you simply explain where that emotion came from and why that particular action upsets you, they're more likely to not do it. Anybody who is still doing it after that, sis. Okay, tip number 2, and this is a tough one: forgiveness. Friends, I know that is a 4-letter word in some circuits, and forgiving people is hard. I ain't even gonna try and say that it's not hard, because it is. But it is for you. You want to make sure that you give the person grace, because at some point in time, you were the person that offended someone accidentally or on purpose, and you made a mistake and you messed up, and you would want somebody to give that same grace to you. I heard someone say before that we judge others based on their actions, but we judge ourselves based on intent. So make sure that when you're thinking about forgiving someone else, are you judging them on their action or their intent? And if you don't know their intent, find out. Because here's the truth: we individually are not perfect, and we may be offended by something that someone did, and they may be offended or triggered by something that we did. It's possible that 2 people can hurt each other in one situation. Your truth is not the only truth. And so you have to remember to give the other person empathy. Ask yourself, did I trigger them from something that they experienced in the past? Maybe this is something that they see as a sign of love and affection, and it just bothers me the way that it's received. Not everyone has the same love language. Everybody didn't come from the same parents and wasn't raised the same thing. So even the smallest things that we think, oh, everybody knows those, everybody don't know that. And so we need to be aware that we may be doing something that triggers the other person, and they in turn trigger us. Also, forgive yourself. I know a lot of people get upset with themselves when they get angry over a situation that they think they've gotten past, and it takes them longer to get over the new situation because they're still angry over the past situation. Forgive yourself. Give yourself grace. God gave you grace, and who are you to not give yourself grace? If God himself, the big and almighty, powerful God of the universe, If he decided to give you grace, give yourself grace because he thinks that you are deserving of it. So let him wash away your sins, let him wash away every emotion, and just take a second to forgive yourself. So, number 3, and this is probably the hardest for a lot of people. A lot of people get to number 1, they get to number 2, but they never do number 3. Express. Express those emotions. It doesn't matter if you're angry, if you're sad, if that made you depressed, if whatever emotion that you have identified from step 1, make sure that you express it. Express it to that person. I felt this when you did this. Simple therapy move, but very freeing. If that person is not someone that can receive that from you, write it down. Give it to your best friend. Talk to somebody. Go see a therapist. Go see a therapist. Get it out. Go to the gym after Corona and punch a punching bag. Go outside and run around your backyard a couple times. Do something to get that emotion out. If you're creative, go in the studio, paint a picture. If you're a physical person, go do some push-ups, go hit your pillow a couple times, go break a dish that you don't care about, smash it on the ground, do something that is not going to hurt anybody, including yourself, but also is going to get that emotion out. If you are sad, cry. If you need to talk and you're a talker, call your best friend and talk about it. Whatever you need to do. I always advocate prayer, but prayer is not always the best way to express the emotion and actually get it out. Sometimes I need to say, God, I am angry right now and I need to smash this plate. There is something called righteous anger where it is appropriate for you to be angry. It is not a sin for you to be angry, but it is a sin for you to sin while you're angry. That's a different video. Express that emotion in the best way that you know how to make sure that you don't then do something, say something, or are passive aggressive to the point where that person, 1, doesn't even notice that you're being passive aggressive. 2, they are then hurt by your actions and they don't understand. Or 3, it just plain doesn't work long term because you are trying to tell them something without telling them something and they ain't catching what you putting out, bro. So stop. Like I said, so hopefully this helps and I'll see you guys next week on Wisdom Wednesday.